Well, here it is, another day working on the 911. In the last video, we made sure this engine's healthy and good to go. So now it's all about clean, clean, clean. We're gonna take this thing down, clean as much as we can. I think I'm gonna clean up the wiring harness. I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. And then maybe we'll clean in the engine bay too. Get everything in here looking brand new. So, gonna be a lot of time lapses in this one because it's just kind of taking stuff apart, you know. So we're gonna get the carburetors off first, and the intake manifolds. I'll just take them off as one. Then we're gonna take this top shroud off so that I can get to the back of the alternator, which is in here, and take off the wiring of the alternator so that I can take this whole harness off and clean up that harness. And while I'm cleaning this harness up, I'm gonna put all the hardware in my ultrasonic cleaner, and then we'll clean all the shrouds and plastics by hand because it's 4 degrees out. I would love to just take them out and shoot them with the hose and some simple greenies. That would work way better, but don't have that option today. So let's get to it. So I got the engine wiring harness out. What I'm going to do is clean this, go through it, and then I'll show you how we're going to pretty this thing up and make it look brand So the electrical tape, we're using this fabric tape. It looks a lot better, a little more durable. Not what the Germans use. Put it where the other wires break out at. So this stuff I'm going to use on here, this is like split loom stuff, split sleeving. This is 1/4 inch. And they make this stuff that's just doesn't have a split in it, but the split is key. It's what you need. Because otherwise you gotta run everything through before you terminate them. So, get the piece here. I could do all one piece. Might as well try it. And right here. It's kind of tricky. They make tools to put this in here, but I don't know. I just always use my finger. Okay, so. All right. Should be good for now. I'm going to kind of mock it up on the engine, see what it looks like, and then go from there. Well, it's the next day. I got a haircut, ready to work on this. So we're going to get these bolts for the valve covers and all the engine pans cleaning. So that way I get these going while I do something else. I'm out of Simple Green, and I'm not going to do more. So I'm going to try some dish soap. Should be fine. Or maybe it'll foam up everywhere. I don't know. We'll find out. A little bit of that in there. Some hot water in there. Should be good. All right. Get these in here. Each in their own individual thing, so I'll extract. All right, get that in there. Okay, dip these in. Oh, it's time to wash some parts. And I bet that even you have a parts washer at home, dishwasher. But make sure your significant other approves. Should we ask Mom? Babe, can I put car parts in the dishwasher? Oh, she's at work, huh, Moose? All right, I think that's a yes. Okay. Quick tip when it comes to dishwashers. When you're buying a dishwasher, just buy the cheapest, least efficient one you can, and I guarantee it'll be the best dishwasher you've ever had. That's what I do with this thing. So basically, we're just going to put the parts in here like dishes. Moose here is going to help me. I'll Moose. Work. It is important to note that I wiped all these down and cleaned them best I could by hand before I put them in here. You don't want to put just like super greasy parts in your dishwasher, because then even if you don't have a significant other, you're going to regret it. Put that in there. This beefy guy needs to go. This on top. This back here. Make sure that works. And last, the fan. All right. Sweet. All right, here we go. We got everything loaded in. Should fit nicely. Yeah. You can even use this for nuts and bolts if you want. But again, clean them first. Here's another dishwasher tip. I usually buy store brand everything. When it comes to dishwasher detergent, or really any cleaning product for that matter, store brand stuff is usually complete garbage. So, got the Cascade, #1 brand, I agree. This is not sponsored or anything, but I love Cascade. This is by far the best. I've used other stuff and it sucks. Just glue just in here. Alright. Alright. Come back in about an hour, those should be clean as a whistle. Okay, well, it's been a couple hours. Didn't take a couple hours, but I had other things to do. So let's check out how these turned out. Ooh. Oh yeah, I just got a rag and wipe these down. Dry them off. This is a little alternator shroud. Oh yeah, this is nice and clean. That's pretty good. Like I said, I cleaned these before I put them in here. Well, I didn't clean them, I just wiped them down best I could. So there wasn't, chunks of grease flying around in the dishwasher. And yeah, there's still a little bit on here, but they're way cleaner. I'm just gonna, just got this trash microfiber that I'll just throw out when I'm done. Yeah, these all turned out pretty good. It's hard to explain, but there was sort of just like a greasy film on these, even after I wiped them down. And that's what the dishwasher did a good job of getting rid of. And these turned out really good. I did take a little extra time cleaning these before I put them in here, because obviously you want the valve covers better than everything else, but these did turn out pretty good. These valve covers are definitely going to need painted, the top ones. They look a little too ratty. It's just going to look not good if I don't paint these, so. But then these are going to look too good, and then everything else will look, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Oh gosh. Lots of paint coming off these. These have been painted like 18 times, so the paint on there is not great. So I'm not worried about smashing them all together in here. All right. I'm just gonna wipe this down real quick. Oh, the only thing that really made a mess was all this paint that chipped off. Luckily, I think most of it came off while I was drying them, so it doesn't look like there's not a lot in the bottom of the dishwasher or anything. Alright, well, we got all our parts washed in the dishwasher. Minimal damage to the dishwasher. Actually, no damage, just had to wipe it out a little bit, but we're good to go. So I'm going to take these parts back out and maybe we'll start assembling stuff. Alright, I got all this hardware out of here and cleaned up, and it worked pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with this soap, because I've always been using Simple Green, but this soap works pretty good. I don't need to use that. The valve cover hardware turned out really good, so we're definitely going to be able to reuse that and it'll look just fine. The hardware for all the shrouds, some of it's clean, some of it's a mess. I don't know, I might order new ones just to make it look really nice. But other than that, we're good to go, so I'll let these dry off a little more. I think next I'm going to take off the timing covers, clean those up, as well as the hardware. So I'll put the hardware in here, clean up the other ones by hand. So I'll put the hardware in here, clean up the covers probably by hand. They might fit in here, I don't know. We'll have to see. So that'll be next. Alright, we got another day cleaning. Today I'm going to take off the timing covers. Luckily this has the upgraded hydraulic powered tensioners, so I don't want to change those out, but I'm going to take the lines off. I'm going to clean everything up first, so I don't have to clean it when those are open. And then I'll clean up here as well at the same time. Just keep cleaning, that's my plan today. So let's get time lapsing. Well, this is a disaster. Whoever put these gaskets on last, probably the same person who carved an R into one of the valve covers to learn their alphabet. They use a lot of silicone, RTV, and they use a cheap paper gasket. And what happened is the gasket just kind of absorbed that and just glued everything together. And it didn't work, it still leaked, obviously. And so now we're dealing with just this, you know, I'm getting about one piece at a time here. So you just, yep, so that's kind of how we're going. I got this half kind of done, but it's a mess. Luckily the other side came off pretty easily. There's still a bead of RTV on here that I'm going to kind of scrape down level before I put the new gasket on. But I don't know why people would insist on using RTV. Obviously splooged out, and then it's all kind of back here behind this tensioner, so I'm going to clean all that out. I'm sure the other side did, but that side just drained, so that's probably all through the engine. Which, you know, that's good, I guess. But that's alright, we'll get this cleaned up, and it's going to take me a lot longer than I thought. And then we'll get the timing covers back on. Okay, we got some of the parts cleaned up, but next I'm going to take off the oil cooler. It's got some debris jammed up in it. So I'm going to take it off so that I can kind of blow air the opposite way through it. And that should blow up most of the stuff, maybe a little brake clean too. So yeah, let's get that off. Okay, I got the oil cooler out. Kind of drained out as much oil as I could. There's a lot in here. This goes to show when you change your oil, there's still a lot left in there, but you'll have that. That's why you gotta do frequent changes. Okay, I got most of the oil drained out. It's gonna keep leaking, but I just got it over the trash can here. I'm gonna use this plastic. This is one of those trim removal tools. I like using these because it's a lot harder to, mess up all the metal fins. So I'm going to get in here and kind of scrape out what I can. This actually wasn't as clogged up as I had feared. Okay. There we go. So now that that's pretty cleared out, go ahead and shoot some. Maybe this is pretty clogged up. Okay, I squirted some brake clean in here, kind of let it simmer. I did look up, I was like, I wonder how much just a new one of these is. It's like $1,000, so I'm not going to do that. Let me see if I can... Probably creating some very flammable gases doing this. That's alright, it's working though. Oh, this row down here is the dirtiest row. Let's see if I can see this light through it any better. Oh yeah, it's noticeably cleaner. It's still not perfect, but I think it's going to be good enough. We're not in the desert or anything where it's 100 degrees, so I think we're going to be good. Yeah. Top and bottom rows seem to be the dirtiest. I'm just going to give those a second to let those out. Yeah, now the brake clean is flowing pretty cleanly. Easily anyways. Alright, let's see. I'm going to clean out the rest of this. I really like these this CarQuest brake clean. It has a really nice valve on it where you can really regulate the amount of flow. All the brake cleaners are usually about the same performance-wise, but it's the bottle that really makes a difference. Alright, well that's pretty clean. It's not perfect, but a heck of a lot better than it was. Pretty plugged up. So now I'm going to go and clean the parts of the engine I can get to while this is off. I'm going to put this back on with the new seals. I'm glad I ended up just getting a whole engine gasket set, even though I'm not going to use a lot of it. It's the way to go, because then you just know you have what you need. Okay, while I have the oil cooler off, I'm going to clean up everything around here while it's off so I can get to everything pretty easily. So I'm going to do that. Actually, I need to get one of those plastic things again. All right, I got this all cleaned up in here. I'm gonna grab the seals for the oil cooler, pop that back on. I think I gotta look up the specs for torquing that down. So I'll look that up, pop that on, and then this corner of the engine will be done and clean. We got a lot to go. Now, of course, you know, I got the whole engine seal kit and it has the right ones for the oil cooler, but of course, I need 2 from this bag of things and I need 1 out of this bag of a million things, which is a little frustrating, but that's how it goes. Right, these fit up here. Oh yeah, perfect fit. All right, I'm gonna throw a little bit of oil on here. Not much left in this one. There we go. Last one down here. I cleaned out those where these seals go too on both sides, so there's no dirt clogging it up. All right. Oil filter, nice and clean it up. Let's get a nut on there. All right, those are just snugged on there. Let's see if I can work on magic. Get this last one on there somehow. So you see, I gotta go way down in here for this last one. Obviously, it'd be a lot easier without the exhaust box on there, the heater box, but, and I will have that off later, so if this doesn't work, I can just do it then, but I'd rather just do it now and I don't have to remember to do it later. Oh, the magnet's right here. Just got this on my magnet. I'm gonna try to get dead center on here so I can spin it on. Get the thread started here. Oh, boom! Nice. Washer and nut is on there. Get it snug down. Get my torque wrench. Alright, perfect. So I'm just going to torque these down, so I'm going to get a torque wrench. I'll do that real quick. Alright, these are supposed to be torqued to 16 to 18 foot-pounds approximately, so I'm going to do 20 because we got an extension, and this is also a really cheap torque wrench. Okay, so. There we go, 20. Feels like 20. Down here. There. Go up top. Down here. Do them all again. Yep. And yep. So we give this a little final wipe down here. And it should be good. That looks pretty good. A lot better than it did. It's going to flow a lot better than it did. Probably not as good as it did when it was new, but pretty close. Also cleaned up this hose a little bit. Just using tire shine. Always works great on hoses. Yeah, there we go. Oil cooler installed. All right, well, while I'm down here, I'm gonna put the lower valve cover on because we already adjusted all the valves you saw in the previous video. And so I might as well cover this up so the engine doesn't get more dirt in it while I'm working on it. And the valve cover is about as clean as it's gonna get. So for the hardware, I saved the nicer hardware because I'm reusing all of the valve cover hardware, which is the same hardware for the top and bottom. I saved the nicer ones for the top, so that's what you're gonna see in the engine bay. So I'm gonna put those down here. There we go. All right, yeah. Okay, so the torque spec for these is like 8 Newton meters, which is about 6 foot-pounds. The lowest this torque wrench goes is 10, so that's what I'm going to go with. And then a lot of people say it's not tight enough anyway, so you've got to tighten up later. So I'm just going to do 10 now. If it leaks, I'll snug it up a little more, but 10 should be fine. With torque, it's really that they're all the same more than the actual force. Obviously, the force is important, but the fact they're all the same is the most important because you got one torqued twice as much as the other, then things aren't level and it just doesn't work. So I'm just going to do it in an inside-out pattern to 10 foot-pounds. Oh, there you go. And some of these you can't get to with an extension, others you have to use it. Well, really the right way to do this would be to do it with exhaust valves. So I might redo this later, but it should be fine with the one. All right, so I'm gonna go back through again, just double check all of them. Yep. All right. This one's torqued down. Do the same thing on the other side, and then I think I'm gonna clean up here in the spark plug area here, and then I'm not putting the gaskets on these yet because as you can see, these need painted bad. So I am gonna set them on here though, so don't get dirt into the engine. So. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing next. Okay, time to put the crank pulley on. Got a new crank bolt because the old one was all messed up from, people trying to turn the engine over with an open end wrench. So let's get this in here. I did put some Loctite on here. And like most things in this engine, there's like a whole bunch of debate about what the torque spec is for this. I'm just going to do 100. Get this torque down so it doesn't rotate. Get my torque wrench on here. Then it's going to turn this way. I put 2 of the flywheel bolts in the end of the crank so I can use this wrench here just to keep it from rotating while I turn this. There we go. Woo! All right. Well, that's worked. I think that's coming off. All right, now we're going to spin this thing around. I'll put the flywheel on. Whew. I did change the seals out too, obviously, on the front and rear. All right, time to put the flywheel on. Got it resurfaced. This thing's ready to go. I took a picture before I took it off of the orientation. So it's supposed to go pretty much straight up. I have the engine top dead center, and then this, I don't know, it's probably a date code or something, goes straight up and down. Put this on. Put this one in. All right, so the rest of them, I'm going to throw some Loctite on. much. So we'll find a socket and torque these down. So these are a M12 triple square. This torques to 66 foot-pounds. I'm probably just going to do 70. All right. So if you remember how I said you don't want to turn the engine the wrong way, so when you torque these, if the engine turns, it's going to turn the wrong way. So I've got this wrench, and it's up against this right here, so it's not going to let this turn the wrong way. Let's see here. Yep. All right, tight. Obviously doing a star pattern. Go back again. Check all these. There we go, flywheel installed. So that's ready to go. I'm gonna wipe this off. I'm gonna stick some grease in there in the pilot bearing. And then we gotta put the starter ring on the other pressure plate, and we can install all that. So let's get in there. Well, I wasn't gonna film this because I didn't think it was very interesting, but the distributor stuck in here. I'm just gonna pop it out. So what I ended up doing was I got a socket extension, hammered this to get it to rotate a little bit, kind of free it up, and then pry it against the bolt here that, you know, holds it down. But now I'm far enough out that I can't pry anymore, so I'm gonna try to jam this in here. There we go. When you're prying, if you end up having to pry on your distributor, you don't want to pry against like the magnesium here, because that's obviously super soft. But this bolt's pretty good, so that's what I've been prying on here. Gotta get this. Oh man, still just come out of there already. See if I can get this rotated at all. Messed it up too much. This distributor's pretty trashed though, so I don't feel too bad. Probably gonna clean this one up, hopefully. It's the plan anyways. That's almost worse there. Why everything takes so long? Oh, I'm gonna pull the distributor out. It'll take 30 seconds. An hour later, here we are. There we go. How is this still stuck? I mean, holy smokes. A little more wrench action here. There we go. Okay, I think we're good now. I think I can probably pull this out as I twist. Holy smokes. That was really in there. Success, got it out. Okay, now we got the distributor out. I was finally able to confirm that this is the wrong distributor for the car. This is for an earlier 911. So this is Bosch part number 02311590001. And the proper one for the car is 02311590008. And this one will work, but based on the research I've done, the timing curve isn't exactly right. But here's the thing. There's two versions of this particular distributor. There's an early one and a late one. If it's the early one, we can dial it in. It'll be almost the same. But if it's the later one, then we're either going to have to like modify the stops or something. But I should be able to tell that by a date code on here, but I can't find a date code anywhere on here. I think this is just too rusty, or it's not on here, I'm not sure. So I had another idea of a way I'm going to do it. Based on the timing curves I found online, the early one, which is one we want, should have 14 to 17 degrees of advance at the distributor. And then the new one should only have 12.5 to 15.5. And I'm going to try my best to sort of measure that just by holding and marking and turning this and seeing if I can measure that, do some math, and then figure out if this is the new or old one based on the amount of degrees it can advance, basically. So I'm going to try that. All right, so after measuring this and taking my measurements and doing the math, so basically I, like I said, I held this here, drew that out, so that's the full advance that this distributor can do. Then I took the diameter, the outside diameter of this, which is 2.555 inches. Then I multiplied that by pi to find the circumference, which is 8.027 inches. So then I divided 360 by the circumference to figure out that each inch is 44.849 degrees. And then I measured this was about 1/2 inch. Multiply that by 44.849 to get 22.42. And I think I might have measured that a little big. So let's say it's 17, which I can actually, let's do this. Let's do 17 divided by 44.849 be 0.382 inches. So let me measure that out on here. That's way smaller, 0.382. I think with the error of, my little measuring thing here and all that, I'm going to say we have the old one. At least I hope. It'll be a lot easier to tell when it's on the car and I can actually just rev it and see, how much advance we're actually getting with the timing light. But I'm going to say that that's good enough that I'm going to tear this apart and try to go ahead and use this. If it was the newer one with the bad advance curve, I'd probably still try to use it. But I'm going to try to use it as is. I'm just going to clean it up, put it in the car, and see how it goes. So let's move along. I'll clean this up. I'm just going to take it apart and clean it, put it back together. All the bearings and everything are good, so we really don't need to replace anything. I'm just going to clean it up because it looks real rusty and garbage. So let's get to doing that. So the biggest problem with this distributor was getting it out, and that's because someone really hammered on this thing. I don't know why this bottom, barrel of it or whatever, but I mean, it's hard to see, but I mean, there's gouges in it and everything, and that just kind of galled up in there when I was trying to pull it out. And I cleaned it up and tried to just slide it in, just the body of this. It's still not right. So the idea I came up with, I had to spin this, and I don't have a lathe. Like in a perfect world, you put this on a lathe and just kind of make sure this is all nice and even. I don't have a lathe. So I put a bolt through here and tighten that down a little bit so I can spin this, put my drill in the vise. So now I can do this, and spin this, and then I got some 2000 grit. I'd actually prefer like 1000 or 1500, but I don't have that. So I'm just gonna sort of, let's see here, something like this. All right. So now I'm just gonna go test it in the engine. I'm gonna have to take the bolt off, obviously, but it looks a little better. I'm really just trying to take the edges off of everywhere this was like hammered on. I really don't know why that would have happened. Maybe they were trying to get the gear off the end, So they put this in a vise or something? That's the only thing I can really think of. I'm not sure. Let me pop this off. All right, moment of truth here. Still a little tight at the top here. That's okay. Oh yeah, sliding nice and easy. Oh yeah. No play. Rotates nice so we can adjust the timing. We won't go in that far either. All right. So that's fixed. So I just got to put this back together. Maybe clean this up a little more, and then we'll be good to go. All right, I got the shaft all lubed up, so now I'm going to slide this in here and hope for the best. I had a picture of, how was this lined up? Like this. It's kind of like right about there. I'm going to look at the picture again before I pop it all the way in. Look at my picture real quick. Yes, that was that one was a little bit. Oop, not too far. One tooth off. Go a little further that way. So I have the engine top dead center, so I want the contact on here to line up with that line on there. That's one too far that way. Oh, maybe not. Let me see my picture here. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Let's get right there. All right. Put this nut on there. Of course, I have to pick it up a little bit. It's not on. There you go. All right. All right, distributor installed. Whew. All right, time to install the valve covers. Got the gasket here. This way. Oh, first way. Got the surface all cleaned up, put that on there. I did paint these. This one turned out okay. The other one did not. I'll show you in a second. Turns out painting when it's 40 degrees in here, not ideal, but it's just been cold, so I'm probably gonna pop these off and repaint them at some point, but for now, they're just fine. Looks pretty good. This is the one that had the R carved into it. I was able to sand out most of it, but still see if you look close, but that's all right. So I did not use any RTV, which ideally you shouldn't have to anyways, but these magnesium covers, they kind of get like pitted on the interior surface. So if it's pitted, you don't want to use a lot of RTV, but you just want to put some on your finger and kind of smear it on there, especially if it's where it's pitted. I'm not going to do that. Again, because I'm going to take these off, and also because maybe they won't leak. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm probably going to take them off and paint them again, so I don't want to have to deal with anything, and I hopefully can reuse these gaskets and all that. So just going to put them on no RTV and see how that works. I'm going to try to put the nicer, I'm reusing the hardware, so I'm going to try to put the nicer looking nuts up front where you can see them. I'll put the not so good looking ones back here. The nice ones on top anyways. So when it comes to torque spec on these, the official torque spec is 8 Newton meters, which is like 5.9 foot-pounds. But if you read, everyone says, oh, well, that might not be enough. You know, you might have to snug them if they're weeping. Here's a tip. Just go more than that to begin with. You know, you can put 10 foot-pounds on these. You're not going to hurt anything. So that's what I'm going to do, 10 foot-pounds. So we'll start in the middle, work our way out. Right there, already 10. And 10's like nothing. I might have been holding that. Let me do this one again. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. So we got that on there pretty good. The main reason I had to put these on there is because I still have to clean up here, and I really should have done that before I painted these, but didn't happen that way. So I'm gonna put some tape on here, some painter's tape to keep this clean, and I'm gonna go to town cleaning this. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, I got all these cleaned up here. You know, you can't really see that because the shroud covers it, but obviously I just want to get everything as clean as I can. I didn't put this one on permanently yet because I got to repaint it. The paint just keeps, fisheyeing real bad here, so I'm going to sand it down again for like the third time and try it again. Yeah, I just wish it was nice out for at least one day where I could get some stuff painted. This is, it's February, so that's how it is. And then when it's warm out, it's raining. There's just no in between. You might think, well, look at that exhaust. Doesn't look that great. What do you do about that? So once I get this back installed in the car, I'm going to drop the exhaust off. It'll be a lot easier, rather than dangling this from my engine hoist or putting it on a stand or something. It'll just be a lot easier when that's in the car. So once it's in the car, I'll drop the exhaust and change all those gaskets as well as like that sump gasket and everything in the bottom. So that'll be last and after it's installed in the car. So I'm going to get this painted and we'll keep going. Okay, just got the alternator in there, and I figured I'd show you how to put this pulley on here. So basically how this pulley works is there's, the pulley goes on here obviously, and there's a belt. But to tighten it, there's shims on either side. So basically, it's grooved on either side. So the further out this is, the looser it's going to be because the belt's going to go further down into that groove, basically. So I wrote down that there was 3 on the outside and 3 behind it. So that's what I'm going to start with. And then the old belt was a little loose, but the new belt might be tighter. Let me get the belt. Ooh. Get this on. So right now this pulley's kind of crooked. So I'm just going to do this and hopefully turn the whole engine over with it. Let's get it tightened down here. There we go. Yep. So yeah, that's plenty tight. So basically you want to be able to turn the engine over with this nut. That's how you know it's tight enough. I might actually take one out of there. That's pretty tight. All right, well, it's too tight, so I'm going to add another spacer and go from 3 to 4. All right, 4 spacers back there. That's still pretty tight, but I think that's pretty good. We can turn the engine over with this nut, which is what you want. So let me just get this up here, get this tight. All right. Do a couple turns to make sure that's even. Oh. Yeah, see, we're at just about the right amount of pressure on this belt. Because it can turn the engine over. It spins a little bit, but that'll be, yeah, that's dead on. All right, we got this belt on, it's nice and tight. So the next thing I'm gonna do is come around and put all the bolts in for the shroud here. Just the ones that hold it to the engine. Obviously we'll have to do more when we put more shrouds on. I'm gonna put these down, then put the carburetors on. So I can kind of figure out where everything's gonna go here and make it look nice and clean. So let's get to it. So before I install these carburetors, I'm going to replace these fuel lines. Obviously this one definitely needs replaced. I did replace these when I was trying to get it running because they were leaking. So, and these would work fine, but we got some of the nice, proper, fuel line with the braid on it. So that's going to look really nice, putting that in here and replacing all these. And then I got some nice fuel injection clamps. The Porsche ones are like $3 a piece, so we don't need those. I just got some nice fuel injection clamps. So those look pretty nice. And then I think that's really snazzy this up in here. So let's get to that. Okay, well, I'm replacing the bushings in this thing, and the old ones are just kind of like cooked in there, and I don't know, somebody use a drill bit, go through here and open up this hole. Obviously using a drill bit that's definitely smaller than the hole, and then I can work my way up. There we go. Let's see if I can get one more bit up size. That was a 7/16. This is a 29/64. So having all these extremely close drill sizes really helps. That looks pretty good. All right. Do the same thing with the other side. All right, that's good to go. So I just got to grease that up, put it on the mount over here, and we're good to go. One thing I'm doing before I forget, because it's a lot easier to do off the engine, is replace these gaskets that are the wrong size. If you saw the video where we went through the carbs, the carb kit came with these gaskets for between the carb and the intake manifold, and they're not the right size. The center bore's right, but the bolts are not correct. So I don't even know how they get that wrong. But luckily the engine gasket set I got has the right ones in it, so I'm gonna pop these off, switch these out, and then they'll be ready to go in the engine. Well, it was a lot of work, but man, was it worth it. This engine's now ready to go in the car. Everything's been cleaned up. It just looks so much better. Everything cleaned up nicely. I'm really glad that we decided to clean it up because the oil cooler was packed full, so that was probably not cooling oil very well. But that's all cleaned up and ready to go. You know, we got new throttle bushings and fabric fuel lines. Look way better. So this thing is just awesome. It looks great, and I can't wait to get it in the car. That's going to be not the next video, but the video after. The next video is going to be doing all the rear control arm bushings, because we need to do those before we put the engine in. Then the video after that, we'll be hooking the transmission up to this thing, popping it in there, and hopefully getting it running. We're going to clean the engine bay up too in that video. Thanks for watching. You know, always like and subscribe. It always helps. Like if you like the video, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date on the 911. And yeah, there'll be more 911 action coming soon.